Good Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Cece Gaines. Give yourself a little extra time getting to work this morning. Some rain is moving through Minnesota right now, and the temperature is hanging out around freezing, meaning the roads could be slick. We'll check in with the weather team in just a little bit for a full look at your forecast. Right now, we're going out for a closer look at the conditions on the roads. Audrey Russo is in Mobile 11.
Yeah, right now I'm in St. Paul. We've been driving around for the last 20 minutes or so, and basically what I can say is the minute you get off of the highways, there's a lot of slush on the roads. These local roads, city roads, the crews are trying to get them clear. Right now, the road that we're on, we just passed Rice Park, and you can kind of see on the left-hand side of the screen where there's a little bit of that icy slush in the middle of the crosswalk there. We're seeing folks still out and about though, walking, driving, taking things slow, which is good. St. Paul, not really going to give you too many issues. We spent the larger part of the morning in the Northwest Metro up by Albertsville and Monticello, and up there where the temperatures are a little bit closer to freezing, that is where we saw cars in ditches, and we saw a lot more precipitation, and we saw a lot more slush, and really felt our tires slip under the ice that was on the highway. So definitely a little bit of a tale of two parts of the metro, I guess is the best way I can say it. No matter where you're going though, you want to make sure that you're not just assuming that the wet road in front of you is wet. You have to assume that it's ice just to be safe, because you don't want to hit a patch of ice, feel your tires slip, and be in a sticky situation. But yeah, by and large, on the local roads, as they start to get them cleared, they start to get them treated, the conditions have improved just in the 2 hours that we've been driving around, but you just want to make sure that you're taking things slow just to avoid any dangerous situations. Back to you.
We're following two major stories impacting students this morning. Late last night, parents sounded off as the Robbinsdale School Board discussed closing another school. Meanwhile, in the state's largest school district, more than 3,000 teachers are preparing to walk off the job. This morning, the Anoka-Hennepin Schools negotiation team is back at the table with union leaders for a last chance mediation. The union says they're prepared to meet with the district as long as it takes to reach an agreement, but they're still sitting $22 million apart. Sticking points include rising health insurance costs and pay. If they can't come to an agreement, a strike would start Thursday morning, closing school for nearly 40,000 students.
Although a strike would not be good for our family, transitions, schedules would change. I fully support what they're working for and what they need to be excellent educators.
If school closes, students currently enrolled in Adventures Plus before and after school childcare would be able to continue in a full day format. But the district says they don't have the capacity to accept more students during the strike. We're also learning this morning Robbinsdale area schools will keep a magnet elementary school open, but will discontinue magnet programming at a middle school. It comes as the district grapples with ways to save money and make up its $21 million budget deficit. The decision was made during a contentious school board meeting last night where Fair Pilgrim Lane Elementary and Fair Crystal Middle Schools were the main focus. Some parents and educators tell us the school's programs are unique and irreplaceable because of their focus on creativity and the arts.
It doesn't make sense. We have the highest test scores in our school out of the district. Why would they shut us down?
There are over 400 students enrolled at Fair Crystal. The district says the same courses are currently offered at other schools within the district, but parents say that's not the case. In a statement, the district says these decisions aren't taken lightly and are being made to, quote, stabilize the district's long-term financial future. The race for Minnesota governor is wide open this morning after Tim Walz announced he's ending his bid for a historic third term.
So I've decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
Walz's decision is now setting off a scramble to find a new candidate to lead the ticket. Political analyst Blois Olson says Senator Amy Klobuchar or Secretary of State Steve Simon could jump into the race. Happening today, we're hoping to hear more from Governor Tim Walz about his decision to drop his re-election bid. Meantime, we're hearing reaction from those who know the governor's job pretty well. Former Governor Tim Pawlenty shared his reaction to the news.
In a world where we're all working hard and paying our taxes to the state government and then they waste it and allow it to be stolen, people are understandably very mad. And even in a blue state, I think that was probably enough to say for most people, we're not re-electing him.
Pawlenty says he wasn't surprised by Walz's decision, adding the next Democratic candidate will have to face the topic of fraud in this election. We have new video from overnight in downtown Minneapolis. Police clearing out protesters just hours ago outside of the Canopy by Hilton Hotel. One of our producers who is at the scene tells us protesters were chanting to allegedly keep ICE agents staying at the hotel awake. This all comes as the Department of Homeland Security ramps up operations in the Twin Cities this morning. DHS says thousands of ICE officers and agents are heading here. 600 Homeland Security investigators are also coming to investigate the now viral fraud allegations at local daycares. The Wall Street Journal says if it's fully carried out, it would be the largest immigration operation since President Trump took office. Taking you live now from Washington, D.C., where the massive fraud scandal sweeping Minnesota's social service programs will take center stage. Investigative reporter A.J. Legault will be there to cover the hearings. He'll be live starting tonight at 10 and throughout the day tomorrow. Happening right now, the Trump administration playing defense over this weekend's U.S. military raid that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. But not every lawmaker on Capitol Hill is convinced the mission was legal. NBC's Alice Barr has that story.
New developments overnight with gunfire erupting in Venezuela's capital, highlighting the uncertainty about what comes next for that country as its ousted authoritarian leader faced a federal judge in the U.S. for the first time. Fresh tensions in Venezuela as overnight gunfire rang out in Caracas. Two White House officials tell NBC News the administration is closely tracking the situation and the U.S. was not involved. While in the U.S., Venezuela's deposed authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores pleading not guilty to federal drug and weapons charges. Maduro saying in a New York courtroom that he's still the constitutional president of Venezuela, calling himself a prisoner of war. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi defending the Trump administration's move to capture and remove Maduro, accusing him of bringing tons of drugs into the U.S.
This was well within the president's Article 2 powers. It was a law enforcement function to arrest indicted individuals in Venezuela.
President Trump has repeatedly said the U.S. is now in charge in Venezuela, even as interim president and Maduro loyalist Delcy Rodriguez was formally sworn in. While in an exclusive interview with NBC's Kristen Welker, President Trump asserted the U.S. is at war with people that sell drugs, not with Venezuela, as Democrats slam the administration for acting without congressional approval.
It was military action, not a law enforcement action.
Republican leadership defending the use of force after a classified briefing for the Gang of Eight top congressional leaders.
The administration is acting consistent with the law, and that's what we discussed in the room tonight.
President Trump telling NBC News the U.S. may reimburse oil companies that help rebuild Venezuelan infrastructure, aiming for expanded oil operations within 18 months. Venezuela's interim president, who initially called Maduro's capture an illegal kidnapping, is now offering to collaborate with the Trump administration. Yet her government has ordered police to arrest anyone involved in supporting this weekend's U.S. attack that ousted Maduro. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, thousands of Americans are still stranded overseas after Saturday's strike on Venezuela. Delta says it's working to reaccommodate all customers by today. There's also a travel waiver for customers traveling to or from 13 impacted airports through today. One Minnesota family trapped in Barbados tells us they now won't get home until Saturday at the earliest. Taylor Lamoury from Ramsey says they tried to book a private commercial flight, hoping to be home late tomorrow night. They say air traffic control, though, is unable to keep up with air traffic, so their private jet had to cancel. This morning, we're learning the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is closing its doors. CPB had been winding down since Congress voted to defund its operations last summer. The agency made its debut back in 1968, funding PBS, NPR, and hundreds of radio and TV stations for over 58 years. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.